Welcome to episode 66 of Sharing Life Lessons. This is season 7. We are one spirit, one soul, and together we are creating a library of stories and life lessons. I am your host Hamidah, and I want to bring you stories because stories matter, stories inspire, stories teach, and stories heal. Hello again from India. Listeners, if you had tuned into episode number 60, I had mentioned that my mother's health was not very good lately, and so, in her honor, I started a new cadence that followed her advice, which is to start a new day, event, and in this case, every new episode with a good and positive thought. In episode 60, I did not explicitly say this, but since mom is on her way to recovery, I would love to invoke prayers and good energy from my listeners for her speedy recovery so that she can return to normal life soon. Our positive thought for today is something that was sent to me a day after the recording of this interview, and right away I saw the connection and knew that again, my production assistant, the universe, seeked this quote out for me to read out to you for this episode. This is a quote from Rumi, who I love. It says, "Try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. And do not worry that your life is turning upside down. How do you know that the side that you are used to is better than the one to come?" In episodes of Sharing Life Lessons, I have brought you a variety of guests who are famous authors, such as the author of Conversations with God, spiritual thought leaders, energy healers, coaches of all sorts, etc. But I have also tried to bring you folks like you and me who have experienced events in their lives that they want to share with whoever will listen as a service so that those who are going through what they have already have the tools with them and don't have to spin the wheel, so to say, sparing them extra energy, emotions, time, and effort when those are needed most by them to cope with the situation and come out of it stronger. Our guest for today is one such person. I met her in Ahmedabad when I was there during the last weekend of July to enjoy my only niece's wedding. Anar was full of good energy, and after briefly learning what she had encountered in life, I invited her to be a guest on the show, and she excitedly accepted the invitation. Everyone, join me in welcoming Anar Shah. Hello, Anar. Welcome to Sharing Life Lessons. Thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. For the listeners, I am in India visiting family, and Anar is my first guest in India. I want to bring you more from India, but Anar is starting us off. Welcome, Anar.
Thank you so much, Hamidah, for having me. I'm very excited for this as this is my first podcast ever.
Great, great. I'm excited too. Anar, can you start us off by telling us something about yourself?
Sure. I live in Ahmedabad here in India with my parents, younger sister, and my grandmother. I'm 29 years old. By education, I'm a qualified chartered accountant. That's CPA in US. I did my internship with Deloitte. Currently, I work as a Yog instructor. I did my Yog teachers training in December 2019. I have students from Canada, US, of course, India, Malaysia, Singapore, UAE, Australia mainly. And I've tutored more than 200 students. I also work as a dietitian. I did my certification course in food and nutrition from Indira Gandhi National Open University in India. Again, I have clients for the diet consultation from all across the world.
For the listeners, if any of this resonates with you and you like what you hear from Anar, her contact information will be in the show notes. So please feel free to connect with her. And I have gotten feedback from a few of Anar's students, and they really, really like her. Let's go on.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anar, can't wait to hear your story. Please tell us your story.
Okay, basically from the beginning, I was very much inclined towards proper and higher education. So after my high school graduation, I immediately appeared for my entrance exam for CA, that is Chartered Accountancy. I did my internship with Deloitte, which was quite rigorous and intense for me. And during my internship, I started realizing that I'm not meant for this work. And I was never interested in a 9 to 5 kind of a job. And this was not going to work for me. But I was already halfway. So I thought of finishing it anyway. I generally don't give up on things. I finish what I take up. That is how
Mm-hmm.
I've been always in my
Mm-hmm.
life. I took my final exams. I became a qualified chartered accountant. And soon after that, I got married. And then I went to the US in February 2018. My married life was a combination of many things. It was a toxic relationship which like mainly originated from lack of respect, and then it resulted in a lot of things like uh, very dominating and controlling behavior, anger, which was almost like rage, and lack of trust in me, verbal abuse, which I saw was heading towards physical abuse. So it was a very difficult time. Generally, usually, I am a very strong minded person, and mostly I have a very positive outlook towards life. But there was a time when I felt that this will go towards self harm. I mean, once I had a thought of committing suicide, and that was a trigger point. It just struck my mind that this is a point of no return. Coincidentally, we were traveling back home to India during that time. So I had a little time to clear my mind, and I realized that things were not going to change. The situation was going to be the same, irrespective of the efforts I put in.
How long were you in the marriage?
I got married in November 2017, but I went to the US in February 2018. And
Mm.
then I came back in December 2018. So you can say almost 11 months.
So it wasn't that
Yes.
long, but in that 11-month
Yes.
period, you were able to see that this is only going southwards and you're not going to be able to do anything about it.
I feel it was a very long period of time, to be honest, because I feel if I was in India and not far away from home, it would have ended much more earlier, which would
Mm.
have been better. So 11 months were actually too long for me. It was very difficult
I see.
time. It was not a situation where something could have been worked out,
Mm.
because generally everyone tries that the marriage work. A person will try everything that he or she can to make it work, because any kind of separation is very difficult for anyone. I don't think that was a situation which could have been repaired,
Makes sense.
because it
Okay.
was that bad.
Okay. So you're in India, you're giving this a thought, and then what happened?
Then I filed for divorce. And I was very fortunate. My parents, my family, even my friends and relatives, they completely supported me. The only thing that mattered to them was my happiness. They didn't care about what society will say.
If that happened, then you're truly
Yes,
blessed.
yes, definitely. I was very much loved and supported completely. It was a difficult time because I had friends who were doing wonderful in their careers. They even got settled with their partners, and some few of them, they had both of this. And I was thinking that my life is going nowhere. I have to start from square one, which was even true. That was a difficult time, but I started exploring things. So that period, that setback gave me that courage to follow or maybe pursue things in life that I started exploring things. I took short-term courses of psychology, astrology. I started learning ballroom dance. I was also looking for certification in aerobics and CrossFit training, because I was doing it since last 3 4 years for my personal fitness before going to the US. And then one day someone who I'm very close to, she just suggested me to take a workshop of yoga. I started going to yoga classes and then I dropped in a month. I was very devastated and heartbroken because of my divorce. It didn't occur to me initially, but as time passed, I realized that it really shook me. And then to address those emotions more clearly, I decided to go to Vipassana meditation. So Vipassana was 10 days long residential meditation program where mainly we had to submit our phones first of all, and then we had to observe silence for 10 days, like complete silence. You cannot utter a single word. I went for that. It was a very blissful experience. And one thing I understood during those 10 days was there is only one person in the whole world that cannot hurt you, and that is you yourself. That taught me self love, that you are the only person who is never going to hurt your own self.
Yeah. I
Yes.
just wanted to let the listeners know that you are, I think, the third guest who has talked about Vipassana meditation. Some call it Vipassana, some call it Vipassana, but you are the third person and maybe the fourth. And because this keeps coming up over and over
Hmm.
again, and each one of you
Hmm.
have said that it has
Hmm.
been a very satisfying and a blissful experience for people
Yes.
who are in any situation where they want to get away and just
Yes.
reflect and get self aware,
Hmm.
probably
Hmm.
Vipassana is a good option.
Yes, a very good option. So I'll tell you, many people are afraid of going for the meditation program because you have to observe silence for complete 10 days. I would just say one thing, that if in your heart you know that you are going to enjoy it and you want to do this, then you should go. You should not listen to what someone else is suggesting. So when I went for this program specially, many people around me told me that I should not be going because I was already in my low phase of life.
Mm.
And then they believe that going to this program will depress me more and I may go into a darker space.
Mm.
But then nothing like that happened. I came back with a lot of positivity and good vibes. So it really helps.
I want to ask you,
Yes.
Anar, what was your goal or your reason to go for this program?
So, when you don't speak, when you observe silence, the thoughts that are going on in your mind, they start getting out of your system basically, because it's the time when you reflect on the incidents that happened in the past, or maybe the situations that are disturbing you. So you can reflect upon those situations. You observe silence. You are just with your own self. There is no one else or no situation that is affecting you. And if you have that positive mindset, then it definitely helps you to start afresh. It helps.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Okay, so then what
Yes.
happened after you came back from Vipassana?
Then I had no plan of going for my yoga teachers training course, but I came to know about a place, an ashram, that offers a very authentic and traditional training in yoga and meditation. So I went for this yoga teachers training program, which was a 21 days long residential program with a complete modest living. Like we were five of us sharing the room, which was very much going out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very beautiful experience, and that changed my life. After that, I started off as an offline yoga trainer, which was the case before COVID hit us. And I know COVID has impacted many people's lives in very negative way, but to be honest, COVID was like a blessings in disguise for me, because once it was locked down, I immediately switched to Zoom classes.
Mm-hmm.
I tried making the best of the situation, and I started with one batch in the evening with just five students. And by God's grace, it just got bigger.
Mm.
And I also had to start the morning batch. Right now, both batches are completely packed. Then I also took my certification course in food and nutrition. I started working as a dietitian. So the USP of my diet is that it is very sustainable and easy to follow. Nowadays, it's such a fashion to prescribe a diet which has fancy food and which does not include mainly your staple food. But that idea never attracted me much. So I designed diet plan for my clients, taking their food habits, their lifestyle into consideration. I help them lead more disciplined and healthier life. So it's basically a lifestyle change, not just something that you do for a few months and then forget it and then you are back to your original weight or original unhealthy lifestyle. And I can very humbly say that everyone is able to lose the weight and lead a healthier life even once they are off my diet plan. They keep messaging me that Anar, we have been following your tips even after the course and we are still maintaining the weight, and it is so easy to follow.
That's
So
incredible.
it gives me a different kind of job satisfaction actually, because seeing them happy, healthy, fit, and self care is always something that gives you a lot of happiness. So seeing them happy really makes me happy. I feel that through my work, I can actually bring positive change in people's life through yoga, meditation, and the weight loss diet plan.
So, Anar, you've had a full life already, and you're only 29. You started off in India with as a CA, went to the US. You were married. You realized you were in a toxic relationship. After recognizing that, you did something about it. You got divorced. You didn't know how to proceed with your life, and you found a way. You did so much, and you're only
Hmm.
29. So, tell
Hmm.
us the lessons that you've learned through all of this.
First of all, if I have to talk about personal life, I'll say that if you are not valued or if you are not respected, if you are treated like an object, not a human being, then please think about it. Please think where your life is taking you. Don't doubt your own self, because things will not change in situations like this where it is an abusive relationship, or as I said, if you are not respected, then people are not going to change. First of all, don't doubt yourself, be confident, take your call. Second, I would say be financially independent, especially for women, because the importance of this I didn't realize then when I was getting divorced, because I was privileged, I could come back to my parents' home, but many women cannot do this, and it is extremely important to be financially independent. You have to keep believing in yourself, you have to keep moving forward, and always be strong. Never doubt your own self, or never let anyone else put you down for anything. You have to 100% believe in yourself.
I like that message. Do you have any other messages or life
So,
lessons for us?
for professional life, I can say that when you start something, or maybe in the beginning, in the initial period, the work that you want to do, or if there is any passion that you want to follow, it may seem that it's not going to be enough rewarding, or maybe you feel that your friends are doing much better. But if you put your heart and soul into it, one day you are definitely going to do big. And more than anything else, the happiness that it gives you each and every day, that is not comparable with anything. So if you have something that you want to follow in your life, just take out a little time and at least take a first baby step towards it. The rest of the things will follow.
I want to ask you, Anar, you did talk about passion. I don't think yoga or yog was your passion from the very beginning. You found that passion. How did you know that
Yes,
is
so
something that you want to follow?
from the very beginning, I was always interested in fitness and health. That
Mm-hmm.
was there. But I didn't realize that I want to make a career out of it. As I mentioned, I was into aerobics and CrossFit training for about 4 to 5 years. So I was always a fitness conscious person, I can say that. And then later on, as I was sharing my story, I started exploring many things. So gradually, while exploring few other things, I became sure in my mind that this is something that I can do for life. I don't have to think about my retirement plans, or I don't have to take vacations from my work. I carry my work even when I'm on vacation. I never miss taking my yoga classes. So that's when I realized that this is something that I can do for my entire life. And that's when I realized that this was my calling.
So you pretty much followed your passion, which you
Yes,
found later in life after all of these events came together and you tried many things and you
yes,
found this and you followed your passion and
yes,
now you're extremely happy about it.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I want to ask you a question. I actually want you to give a message to those who may be in your position in a relationship point of view where they are in a toxic relationship but fear the unknown because they know what they are in, but once they take a divorce, they don't know what they're going to get themselves into. So they don't want to take that step because of the fear of that unknown. What would you tell them?
See, first of all, whenever you are in a toxic relationship or abusive relationship, you have to think that it cannot get any worse than this. When you step out of the relationship, if you are fearing the unknown, you just have to think that this is the worst that can happen to you. What worse will it be than this? And when you hit rock bottom, you have to have that faith in yourself and that divine energy that anything after this is going to be upwards, because you have to have that confidence in yourself. You have to evaluate two situations: one, that you are in already, which is very toxic, disturbing you, completely breaking your confidence, and second, where you'll get out of the situation. Of course, you don't know what other challenges you'll be facing, but at least you'll have your own self back. What can be better than that?
Yourself, your self respect, your self worth, which probably you're losing because you are in this toxic relationship.
You lose it 100% eventually, because when you keep telling yourself you don't deserve this, but when it keeps happening to you over and over again, you lose your confidence. That is 100% there.
Thank you for that. Probably there are many who need to hear this that what can be worse? You're already rock bottom.
I know,
Anything
I
can
know,
only be
I know.
better. So
Yes,
thanks.
so I've always been very open about my divorce, and many people have called me till now. They share their stories, and I realize that sometimes all they need is a little approval from someone who has already been through the situation. Because I know many people are stuck in life, they don't have the courage to move out. Sometimes they don't even have the support, and when you don't have emotional support, there are many people who are financially independent and yet they are in this kind of an abusive relationship, because either they don't have any emotional support or they are scared of what people will say. And I know there are many people who needs to hear this, that you just have to take that leap of faith. You just have to believe in the fact that it cannot get any worse than this, and mainly you don't deserve this. Not a single person in this world deserves to be abused or deserves to stay in a toxic relationship where they are not treated like a human being.
And I know I'm going to ask a really obvious question, but looking back, do you think you made the right decision for yourself?
I never even thought once if I took a wrong decision after getting out of it. And as I said, I've always been like this. I mean, I put in my 100%, and I put in so much efforts that once I'm out of it, I'll never have that regret or doubt that I should have done even this, or
Hmm.
this is something that I missed. So once I'm out of it, I never ever look back. That's the thing with me.
I
So
think
all
that's
I
a life lesson in itself, that once you've made a decision, just don't look back. Just
yes,
look forward and move on.
yes, exactly. So to be very honest with you, I went down memory lane because I had to talk about my journey with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized one more time that I'm really proud of myself because
Oh,
whatever I did, I put in my 100%. And then, because mainly I think because of that, when I was out of it, it was not easy, but I could come out of it stronger.
very nice, very
So,
nice. I like it when we tell ourselves, I am so proud of myself that I did
yes,
that. And
yes,
I'm proud of myself
yes,
that I released
yes.
65 episodes already.
That's wonderful.
So I think that is another life lesson, that if you do something in
Yes,
life which feels joyful to you, which gives you happiness, pat yourself on the back and say, I'm proud of myself.
yes, yes. And it's always about that first step, I feel. Once you take that first step, rest of the things are surely going to follow. Universe is definitely taking care of you, but you have to have that courage to take that first step.
Agreed, agreed. That's a wonderful ending, Anar. It was great having you on the show. And being that this was your first time, you were a wonderful guest. Thank you for being so open
Oh,
about
thank you
both
so much.
your personal relationship and about your newfound career. Good luck with that.
Yes,
I hope to
thank you
take some
so
of your classes
much.
too.
You are most welcome anytime.
Thank you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much. I had a wonderful time talking to you.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed listening to Anar's life story and her everyday life lessons regarding the pursuit of relationship and professional happiness. It gave me so much pleasure when I heard Anar say that she was proud of herself. If nothing else, then let's join Anar in being proud of ourselves when we have helped ourselves to be happier in life. As always, here are my key takeaways from our discussion. 1. There is only one person in the whole world that cannot hurt you, and that is yourself. 2. Anar first and foremost said that if you are not valued, or if you're not respected, if you're treated like an object and not a human being, then please think where your life is taking you. If you are in any kind of a toxic relationship, then don't doubt yourself. Be confident, take a call, because things will not change in such a situation unless you take matters into your own hands and do something about it. For you to take any such step, you have to 100% believe in yourself. 3. If you are in a toxic relationship and you are not leaving it only because you're afraid of the future and the unknown, know that nothing can be worse than what you're currently going through, and that things can only get better. 4. Once you have made a decision, then don't look back. Look forward and move on. And lastly, and this is my favorite, if you do something in life which is an accomplishment, big or small, which feels joyful to you, which gives you happiness, then pat yourself on the back and say, I am proud of myself. Let's all just say it together, I am proud of myself. This brings us to the end of this episode. I will bring you another episode of Sharing Life Lessons next Wednesday. Until then, be happy, be safe, and be well.